Well, it's good to be with you on this Friday morning. I want to give you a few housekeeping notes. I've mentioned before that I'm going to be out of town next week. Starting the next my next few days are going to be interesting. Tonight's ball game for my son in the band. Tomorrow is a band competition, and my wife's going to go. Holly's going to go to Southern Miss to watch Sarah march. Then tomorrow, Sunday, I'm going to be out of pocket here at St. Matthew's. I'm going to go up to the Senatobia district and be their guest preacher for a charge conference. So I'm going to be in Senatobia Sunday, or rather Olive Branch, technically. And then I've got to be Monday night in Van Cleve, Mississippi, to start New Prospect camp meeting. So I'm going to be zipping around a lot the next few days. So I had thought about taking my stuff with me, my setup that I use here every day, taking it with me to camp meeting and trying to record devotionals. But somebody in my church who I love a lot, who has been a good, wise counselor to me throughout a lot of seasons in the life of the church, came to me Wednesday night and said, "I'm going to write you a note here, Andy. You need to read it." You may remember a few days ago, I talked about how we need our Antioch, our place of rest. She told me you need to find your Antioch next week and rest at camp meeting. So she's right. So there won't be any rooted next week. We'll get back to our normal routine in the week after that, but there won't be any rooted next week. So it may be a few days before I get back to it. But so I know that we will restart on Monday the 23rd. So no rooted next week, but we will restart Monday the 23rd. So anyway, we'll pick up there on verse 20. So pray for me. I'm looking forward to doing camp meeting. It's always a lot of fun. I'm going to preach on some. I'm preach on biblical lives. I love to talk about what we can learn from different biblical characters. So I'm going to do that next week. It ought to be a fun camp meeting. So if you're around the Gulf Coast, around Van Cleve, anyone on the coast, we'd love to have you with us at New Prospect. It's a great time together. My friend Steve Russell will be there, a great musician. So I can't wait to be down there, and we'll be back to our rooted in Christ on the 23rd. So, but today rather, we're going to pick up with Acts 19, verse 21 through 41, the riot in Ephesus. And after these things have been accomplished, Paul resolved in the Spirit to go through Macedonia and Achaia, and then go to Jerusalem. He said, "After I've gone there, I must also see Rome." So he sent two of his helpers, Timothy and Erastus, to Macedonia, while he himself stayed for some time longer in Asia. About that time, no little disturbance broke out concerning the way. A man named Demetrius, a silversmith, who made silver shrines to Artemis, brought no little business to the artisans. These he gathered together with the workers of the same trade and said, "Men, you know that we get our wealth from this business. You also see and hear that not only in Ephesus, but also in almost all of Asia, this Paul has persuaded and drawn away a considerable number of people by saying the gods made with human hands are not gods. And there is danger not only to this trade of ours that may come to disrepute, but that the temple of the great goddess Artemis, will also be scorned, and she will be deprived of her majesty and brought all of Asia and the world to worship here." When they heard this, they were enraged and shouted, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." The city was filled with confusion, and the people rushed together to the theater, dragging with them Gaius and Aristarchus, Macedonians who were Paul's travel companions. Paul wished to go into the crowds, but his disciples would not let him. Even some of the officials of the province of Asia, who were friendly to him, sent him a message urging him not to venture into the theater. Meanwhile, some were shouting one thing, some another, for the assembly was in confusion, and most of them did not know why they had come together. That sounds like a lot of meetings I've been to. Some of the crowd gave instructions to Alexander, who the Jews had pushed forward. And Alexander motioned for silence and tried to make a defense before the people. When they recognized that he was a Jew, for about 2 hours all of them shouted in unison, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." When the town clerk had quieted the crowd, he said, "Citizen of Ephesus, who is there that does not know the city of the Ephesians is the temple keeper of the great Artemis and the statue that fell from heaven? Since these things cannot be denied, you ought to be quiet and do nothing rash. You have brought these men here who are neither temple robbers nor blasphemers of our goddess. If therefore Demetrius and the artisans who have a complaint against anyone, the courts are open, and there are proconsuls. Let them bring their charges against anyone. If there's anything further you want to know, it must be settled in the regular assembly. For we are in danger of being charged with rioting today, since there's no cause that we can give to justify this commotion. When he had said this, he dismissed the assembly. The Bible talks of how a gentle word can calm things. So often, particularly in the world we find ourselves in now, everyone's angry. There's so little peace and unity. And sometimes we can get worked up as well, can't we? I know that I can. It's easy to fall sway to emotions. And what I love here, that Alexander, he comes in and he just speaks a word of calmness and a word of clarity. And things resolve peacefully. I like to pick on Facebook because, it's always my joke is picking on Facebook. Many of you may be watching this reflection on Facebook, so I can't pick on it too much. But we live in a world now, don't we, where everyone always seems angry, don't they? There's so much anger and discord, so much passion. My joke is everyone's angry at everything all the time. And sometimes that anger can bleed over to us, can't it? Sometimes we can find ourselves angry, we aren't even sure why. You ever been that way? You ever just been on a day where you just find yourself angry? You don't even know why. It's important, I think, at that point to look and see, what have you done that day? You spend a lot of time on Facebook hearing others complaining about things? Have you watched news that makes you anxious and angry? Have you been reading things that feed your anger and your anxiety? I know it's important for me. I have gotten to where in my life, I try to not read things that are just going to stir me up with negative energy. Whether it be on social media, whether it be the news that I consume, whether it be who I talk to, I try to, at this point in my life, avoid those things that bring out negative energy, because nothing is productive from that. Nothing is accomplished from that. It's just stirring us up for no purpose. Alexander de-escalated the situation. He spoke calmness. He spoke peace. He spoke sense. And I think there's two things we can take away from this in our daily life. First, are we feeding our souls with things that speak peace to us? And then are we being individuals who speak peace to situations? I love what Paul writes later. It's in Philippians. Whatever is noble, whatever is good, whatever is godly, whatever is pure, my brothers and sisters, think on these things. Are we filling our minds and our brains and our energy with things that are of peace? Are we filling them with things that calm our souls, that speak peace to our hearts, to our souls, to our words? Are we filling our minds with things that increase our anxiety or increase our anger or increase our lack of peace? I think Paul's disciples do a good job here of not letting him go to the temple when he wanted to the theater when he wanted to, because that would just have increased the anxiety and the anger. And then likewise, I think Alexander, in the way he handled this, de-escalated and calmed the waters. So in our lives, I think these are two great questions for us to keep in mind today. Are we filling our minds with things that bring peace, or things that bring that negativity and that anxiety? And then, are we speaking peace to anxious situations? Are we de-escalating things? Or are we contributing to anxiety, to negativity? Alexander's a great example for us for how we can handle things calmly, with peace, assurance, beauty, and love. So let's do that today, y'all. Let's feed our souls with things that are uplifting and positive. Whatever is beautiful, whatever is holy, whatever is pure. My brothers and sisters, think on these things, as Paul tells us. And then likewise, let's be that beautiful thing, that holy thing that de-escalates and brings peace in our world. So thanks for being with us. I'll see you on the 23rd. So pray for me next week. It's going to be a good time. Pray for St. Matthew's for worship this Sunday. Pray that Christ is lifted up and that all persons are drawn to him. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you in a little bit over a week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.